What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. Eternity code prices are wild, and more I'm starting to think sealed product might be worth getting in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now to hold on to, but there's a couple of if, ands, and buts with that. The first reveal here, though, is the final Prismatic secret rare in Eternity code, and it is a wild one. The owner of this card has actually posted timestamp proof versus other Prismatics and shown that Veiler is truly the secret rare, the 100th card out of the set, because you have 000 through 99 usually being the 100 card set. The 100th card, the 5th Prismatic, as we did know we were getting 5 Prismatics this set. Oh my gosh, so Konami can now go back in time anywhere and pick up and choose a card. Veiler is starting kind of small yet big. It's very historic to Yu-Gi-Oh! It's one of the most impactful hand traps of all time. It does cycle back into formats, and I sure am glad they chose it. I think this will easily be a $250 to maybe even $500 card. I could be completely underestimating it and the demand, as people will be wanting play sets of this card if they are chasing and hunting it down. But what a move. Konami will probably have to use one of the sets to bring out the Fire Charmer link, so one set will have kind of a wasted slot to complete those sets. They could have just done it within the set, you know, but bygones be bygones. They'll probably make up for it. Other people are expecting it to be mostly hand traps and meta cards that they do choose for the 5th reprint Prismatic. And I call it a reprint in the sense that these cards don't belong in the set. They were printed way back in history, and all of a sudden Konami's giving them this glorified status that far surpasses Ultimate Rare. So sealed product may be worth investing in, but I do have a side note that every single Prismatic so far, people think are riding a bubble for one reason and one reason only. We haven't seen the Megatens bottom out the cheaper versions of the card prices yet. Like Apollosa, this $500 card, well, she's realistically towards a $100 card. These are Japanese versions and listings, if you're wondering. So the lowest true versions of Apollosa are like $100. So hollowing up, yeah, it seems like it's this kind of value, but it's ridiculous. That's a $1,500 playset still versus like a $320, $30 playset. You don't value that in reality. What it is, Prismatics are 1 in every 2 cases of Yu-Gi-Oh! That's 24 boxes. That is an absurd amount. And so now in 10 cases, since we're getting to 5 Prismatics per set, that would complete by RNG the set. And of course, things aren't always going to go perfect. You're not always going to get one of the chase one of the medium, you know? You're going to end up sometimes getting a bunch of the good ones and some of the bad ones. And when you get estimated value pulled like that, they can't just all be worth infinite, but right now, they're rising up over time. Apollosa, you know, you have the one at 500 and then actually $600 copies. This is a motivated seller on market, it would seem. And then you have the Charmer link, which is collectible. There's actually this entire line of Charmer products in the OCG, and people love them. That's why I think they'll have to go back and do the Fire one, because the other 3 are all Prisma. And then even the cheapest ones, like Storm Dragon's Return, was towards $60. People want to complete these insanely priced collections, and they want every single Prismatic in history. Well, those $60 ones are going to disappear. You see it's 100, then 150, and it's not just this one and being the trash Prismatic out of the set going up. They continue to be worth the value of a box at worst, and over time disappear. So long term, you see the prices of sealed actually rising, but there's still the Mega 10 clock versus this first edition kind of box that, well, you can hunt down a Prismatic, bro. You could maybe pull this chase card, this, in a sense, lottery card that you're hoping to find. Masquerena still above 500. Arua rising right now as people kind of look to it for certain purposes. And then we see, well, the Empress, she was down towards 65 at one point, towards 76, and then 85. There's just not a ton of these to go around, and people are starting to focus them even more. Lightning Storm was towards 420 for the longest, and now we see people want play sets. It's towards 500. And this set, I guess, has probably the most value Prismatics so far, even versus opening those cases, because, well, short printing did exist for this set, which no longer exists. We'll get into that as well, on how everything is now short printed in a sense, though. But Lightning Storm was shorted, and it's the top card of the set, and there's just not a ton of value throughout the rest of the set, except for the Plunder Patrols rising right now. So the Prismatics are really holding this set down, but the sealed for this, wow, It's really freaking good, isn't it? Almost every single sealed product is beating its original. Like, usually, if a set fails, you'll see $55 to $60 boxes, and everything is going up over time. Eternity Code is one of the top 10 sets of all time, and Rise of the Duelist is looking just as good, if not better. So I think getting this, keeping it aside and keeping it sealed, you can make long-term money on Eternity Code. I think first edition boxes of this will be very in demand, and we don't know how they're replacing special editions yet, but we know that Prismatics are only available in first edition, and boy, are they skyrocketing early. They sold some of these out at $250 earlier. Big mistake in my opinion, and people are chasing after these at way past the prices that I think they should be going for still. So I wonder where Valor is going to go, but every single time that the top Prismatics fall down in price as vendors try to make their money back, pay employees, etc., and then they go up, they just keep being freaking strong for the most part. The reason Perpetua fell down is because Lunalights got banned, and that was kind of her main use. So when I'm looking at boxes like this, you see them selling out of sealed. You have my new sponsor, Yu-Gi-Oh! Black Market, not trying to be greedy and offering, I believe this is like $59 and some change for sealed boxes, and they need to fix their case sales because it actually costs them $1 more per box to order on the site right now. Code WhatsGood5 gives you that 5% off to get that actual value. But in my opinion, sealed could be very good to set aside. We still need to see the Megaton fallout versus the sealed product being drained of its singles values and how Prismatics are going to really go up. But with this move, with the Valor, I think this shows that Konami's looking around and giving just the longest term value to product. There's something in here you can get nowhere else. There's something in here that will be chased down and cause more people to open sealed, more people to go after it and not just buy the ridiculously pricing. And you know, $500 is almost towards the cost of a case. How insane is that? People are spending $500. They would rather, instead of that 50-50 chance and then 1 in 5, they go for that single because they don't want to have to crack down and, you know, resell cards. They just want their collection and they want it to be there, or they want their investment in some other points. Now, pre-sale prices for Eternity Code and what's going on here. I'm going to pop up the calculator and we're going to do some quick maths here. There are now 30 total secrets when you're chasing playsets because there's now 10 different secret rares and you want playsets, right? So with 10 different secret rares and playsets of each, 30 total cards, right? Well, there's only 24 secret rares still in a case of Eternity Code. There's still only 2 secret rares per box, despite them upping the amount of secrets. Guess what? And now you divide that by 10. Here's your chances of pulling each per case, per 12 boxes, 2.4 of each secret. So now everything, in a sense, is short. Tier 0 has told me that, yes, actually, with our product, we're seeing about the same average on every single secret rare, and the Prismatic is replacing the secret rare within our boxes, though, so do be aware of that. There's less and less of all of these. So that's why you're seeing these ridiculous prices. Gearsu, $95 freaking dollars, sold out, and this. But there's another side to this story. Tier 0 is one of the biggest players in the pre-sale game, and they usually set things where they think they're going to go on market, yet they keep listing, they keep selling out, and they have to raise prices because they're one of the only sites right now selling. It's been delayed a whole month in the USA, so competition's not there, and they only have X amount of supply to meet the demand. So some of these could be a little overpriced or underpriced, as we see with Yu-Gi-Oh! History, like Gearsu. When they were selling at 89, I was flip-flopping back and forth because I'm like, it's the only expensive card now for Orcus besides their draw card, and people are going to want playsets of this. It's an insane card. Maybe the Orcus engine returns. I'm not too sure, but it still feels overpriced to me, and if it becomes a $120 card, yikes. But there's so much different estimated value pulled, but there's less to go around because you're only seeing 2.4 of each per case. No longer is there an overprint where it's 3.5 to 3.6. No longer is there a short print where, thank gosh, it's not 1.8, but now everything, in a sense, is less than what it was. And ultra rares, there's now 14 different ultras in the set. A playset of each of these, you know, would be 42 total. You're barely seeing a playset of each ultra in a case because there's 48 total ultras in a case, because that's 4 per box times 12 boxes. So we're barely seeing over a playset. So now, to get every ultra rare in math, if everything goes right and you pull awesome and, you know, across the board, well, Opening a whole case barely gets you there. So card prices are going to be rising for singles. That means more sealed will be ripped open by vendors to meet demand. And that's why I think, along with the debut of this Prismatic Rare Effect Veiler, that sealed could be a very good investment long term. We could start to see a set like Eternity Code that is a top 10 set of all time, and Rise of the Duels, depending on how the Prismatics turn out, they can swing really well that way. And yeah, they have a waifu, they have a charmer, they have a Ghost Girl Prismatic, and Veiler, it's looking pretty good for sealed overall to go ahead and bunker down and keep it, and then maybe we see core sets start to go for 80, 85, 90 a box like they did in the old days, and the demand really drive up. But again, word of warning versus this theory, we have yet to see the Megatons impact. We have yet to see bottom out prices of these top cards, and if there is truly a bubble to the prismatic market versus these kinds of cards falling out, the top meta cards, the top prismatics of the set. What do you guys think about how Konami has fixed sealed? I think they've done an amazing job at revamping product this year, from the Megatons getting prismatics, not these kinds of prismatics, but you know, the different kinds of secret rares within their sets, and also finally changing up the rarities from the core sets, also giving core sets more value, especially for their top rarities, and giving the Megatons more values for rarity upgrades. Konami has honestly done a great job with their sealed this year. I can't believe how far they've come in just 2 years. It really does feel like someone else is at the head of the ship. The reprint sets have been better, the moves have been better, but still, with secret rares being harder to get, ultra rares being harder to get, you're going to be paying more for your singles, and I don't know that sealed is worth it because you still have that worse chance in terms of ripping it open, but I do think a set like this is definitely worth keeping and setting aside if you have the bankroll to do it. Not a lot of people do have that kind of money to put that kind of thing aside. Like, you know, $700 case, sit in a corner for X amount of time. Do you have that ability? You got to ask yourself those questions. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. And wow, just insane news with Eternity Code.